See, I mean, I wasn't. Sorry, I wasn't with Stop Zoom because I started realizing that number one, there's a platform that I'm using at the minute that they're developing, and it's going to compete with Zoom basically, but they haven't got it sussed yet. And I thought I jumped in as the beta version, thinking it's going to be bloody great, and there was bugs with it basically.
Yeah.
And so I scrapped the Zoom because it's quite expensive if you do the webinar stuff and all that. It can really start adding up.
Yeah.
On top of all the other freaking tools that cost money, it gets a bit frustrating after a while. You know what I mean? I know you've got to make money and you pay that back, it's worth it and all that kind of thing. But when you're kind of new to the whole kind of like selling yourself, which I am really, if I'm being honest with you, it really does start hitting you. If you're doing clients here and there quietly, that's fine. But when you're trying to push yourself out there a little bit more, it costs. It starts to really add up.
It's a tricky one. There's a piece of software that I use for most of my lives called vMix, which is it's basically broadcast software. So a lot of the guys that do sports and church broadcasting in Australia and America kind of developed this new thing, and it's got a Facebook live stream and a YouTube and Twitch and all the rest of it built into it. It's great. Because I'm from a music and video production background, so it's got split screen. I can fade stuff in and out. I can do overlays and all the rest of it. And I can put that straight out to Facebook Live. They updated it fairly recently, so I got like the lowest level HD output version, but they've updated it now and added loads of extra stuff in. But they've taken some of the features out of the version that I've got, put them into the one that's the next package up, and I'm like. That's $700. Like, that's a lot to pay to just basically, when I'm doing Facebook Lives, be able to switch screens, show people my desktop or share a PowerPoint and stuff. But it's like, it's a tricky one. Same with Zoom and all the rest of them. It's like to have something that looks good, that attracts people, audience, your group members or whatever.
Yeah.
Can you put a price on it? And I'm still kind of sat on the fence going,
I know what you're saying. That's exactly it. And I've tried a few different things. And Facebook Live is really intermittent.
Yeah.
I've tried it. And in the end, I said, right, I'm not doing it. And the last interview I did was with the guy in America. And it was on a Facebook Live. But if you look at it, it was like freaking amateurs right at the beginning trying to get this thing set up. We found out the bug was he didn't have his Facebook app updated.
Oh.
And you're thinking, well, the truth is, you think Facebook, the guy's got, it's not the thing you would think that your guest would have to do.
Yeah.
So I couldn't see him. He could see me, and I couldn't add him. It was really frustrating, and it was like he had a lot of patience. To be fair to him, a really nice guy. He had a lot of patience, but it was like half an hour faffing around trying different things.
Oh,
and then
man.
Little short lives of us on Facebook. And we'll be back, guys. Like fucking really annoying.
Mine was terrible. So I had a similar experience. There's a guy called Dennis Yu who.
Yeah, I know him very well. Nice guy.
Guy. He is a nice guy.
Yeah.
When I was doing the Facebook Academy, before I closed that down, he and I had been talking behind the scenes for a while, and I knew that he was really busy in Europe doing various big things, news sessions and all sorts of stuff. But I managed to get him for an hour, and I'm like, oh my fucking God. I can ride on the leverage of this. I can tap into his audience.
He
wanted me to run ads for the event, so we did all that stuff.
Yeah.
I got everything set up. We knew what the script was going to be. His assistants and Logan and various people were like hiding behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Ran it, and literally with, I think it was Webinar Jam that I used. We tested it and it worked fine. When we went live, and we had about, 200 people watching this webinar. Added them to my list. Everyone was bigging it up. I'm like, this is great for my brand. I'm piggybacking from Dennis. He's going to add a load of value about Facebook ads and shit. This is great. And literally, when we went live, he couldn't hear me. I couldn't hear him.
Yeah.
He couldn't do any of the sharing his PowerPoint deck and stuff.
Yeah.
So I ended up with two machines, basically staying as the moderator, the host on one machine. On a second machine, I had to go back in as a guest.
Right, yeah.
But there was a 15-second lag on the audio.
Yeah.
So as a guest, I could kind of talk to him and I could ask questions, but because of the lag, he just went, fucking, this is insane. And we agreed on a private chat, like, Dennis, you're just going to have to do this yourself.
That's what we did. That's what I've been doing. I've just been doing literally Skype, and I've been recording the Skype chats.
Yeah.
Which is so amateur, but at least I can put it to YouTube and then just post it out when I want. And, I'm not getting the live engagement, but, at least it's fucking not stupid.
Well, the one beautiful thing with vMix, and it might be something worth looking at, even for the cheapy one that's about 90 quid or something. Mm-hmm. If you can pre-record stuff between two screens, you can actually use vMix, tell it to look for a video, but put it out as a live. So there's a lot of people out there where it looks like it's a live. They're not interacting with the comments because actually it's a piece of pre-recorded video.
Well, that's the software that they've been using in the beta as well. It does exactly that. It's pretty damn awesome, but it's within other bits of software. I'm a bit geeky like that.
Me too.
I mean, I'm a member of Tier 5 community, and John Vaughan, he's got some really cool, tools that he's developing for his group, and I mean, some of the stuff's pretty damn awesome. I mean, he's really quite active now in the ClickFunnels forum, but he's a software developer, and he's already building stuff for ClickFunnels and all this kind of stuff. He's doing quite a lot. But so, I mean, what I was going to do is obviously going to do it for mic drops up close with Rob Sales. And we wanted to sort of like go into the background of you, how you started. I think I like to get a bit of geeky knowledge and all that kind of stuff, me personally. But I've got to look at what other people might be wanting, and it's people that aren't in our position. Do you know what I mean? They come to us for a bit of Facebook advice or, marketing advice or whatever it may be. But sometimes that's a bit boring. Sometimes people want to just see the inspirational side of it and see what people started. And sometimes it's really late. I mean, I interviewed Davin Michaels, and he was like, he goes, well, it was just, a natural progression. It wasn't anything sort of exciting. But just that alone it gives credence to the fact that what people are doing, just keep on doing, just keep churning. And I see a lot of people, they expect to be just like famous, like, in an instant. And it's not going to happen. And it might never happen. I mean, you've seen it in the ClickFunnels forums.
I've seen it all over the place. And I think it's got
dreamers. It's very...
Yeah. It's got worse these last few years, I think. There's a lot of gurus that are selling gurus programs, and there's a lot of people out there that want the silver bullet. They want to change their lives.
Yeah.
And they think that a $2,000 course is going to do that. I've got on a little, little picture up there.
Yeah.
I've got a promise I made to myself when I did a program with a guy called Dave Rogan-Moser, who now owns Proof, the little widget that you see on a lot of landing pages. And I've got a thing on there that says my 6-month promise to myself in May 2016 was to be debt-free, working a 2-day week, taking the kids to amusement parks like every month, to do a 3-month road trip around Europe, a 2-month trip across Canada.
Yeah,
I'm getting there with some stuff, but it's like, that was 2016.
Well, the thing is, Rob, what people don't realise is like a lot of these 2 Club guys are kind of skin. A lot of them are skin. A lot of them there's a lot of BS out there between me and you. We won't put this out live. I mean, we could touch on some of it if you want, but I mean, a lot of it is they got to 2 but they spent 2 to get there. On paper they made 2. It's like any business, you could be a 6-figure business. I mean, in theory, I'm a 6-figure business, but the reality is the costs of. I'm talking property now. I'm gonna do a bit of property now. I went into that with my son, but fucking hell, it's a nightmare, stressful. I'm trying to get our refinance now because of delays with builders and stupid incompetencies. They made screw ups, and I'll probably get fined for not getting out of the bridging quick enough. That's really scary because of the fuck-ups, and nothing happens instantly. So you go for a new valuation. It's not like they'll come out tomorrow. It's like, we'll put it through to the companies, and then you get something back in 2 weeks, and then like, well, right, we're going to go here. We're going to put it out to the panel, and then before you know it, a month's gone.
Yeah.
You're like, shit, I was close. I was tight anyway, and a month's gone. So, I'm going to be on £7,000 a month fucking fine soon. That's a lot of money for a bridging. But you just got to keep ploughing on, hope to come out of it.
See, that's the thing for me with any business.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that I'm going to be doing when I do the TEDx is going to be about pushing boundaries.
Yeah.
Not about what I've learned these past 3 years. It's not about your ability to press buttons and do certain technical stuff or blah, 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 blah. It's actually about persistence and productivity. And that's the same for every business owner, regardless of what industry they're in. You can know all your technical stuff, but if you can't be persistent and you can't work out how to maximize your productivity and scale, you're kind of dead in the water. You're just constantly trapped in the freelancer mode, and you're always going to be firefighting, which eventually is going to burn you out.
Yeah, I've actually been there. I've been there. Still there in many ways. I've really struggled with getting the right people. Like I've got a VA and a fucking nightmare with the VA. It's just a constant battle. To really have a proper team, you've got to have a proper team, and it costs you money.
It does. I'll send you a link afterwards. There's a guy called Nathan Hirsch. He's American, and he runs a business called FreeUp. And for like any digital marketing skill that you need, from like heavyweight e-commerce guy right the way down to like a VA that just does Google Sheets and looks after your email.
Yeah.
But they do vetted VAs.
Right.
So they're fucking brilliant, honestly. I've got a brief at the minute that I'm going to send them, and within 24 hours, their account management team will actually find 3 people that exactly match my brief and requirements. They've been pre-vetted. So all I do is I have a 15-minute interview with those guys. And if we like them, we put them on a trial.
Yeah.
If they're complete fucking idiots, the team will, if I notify the account managers, they'll swap that person for someone else with equivalent skills.
Yeah.
Get them briefed and ready and put them into the project within 24 hours. And for me, it's insane because I'm like now infinitely scalable.
Yeah.
I've just got
that was the plan for me. And unfortunately for me, I had this company that, I trained this guy up in the tools that I had. Took me 3 months to train him up to the basic level. And then he just fucks off. He's like apparently moved to some farming in the Philippines or something like that. And then they put me on with some other guy. It takes a week to get this other guy. Apparently he's been trained. He says he knows his shit.
Yeah.
And then for a week, I'm messaging them within their team. Nothing. So I've wasted 2 weeks. I've paid them, for this what you call it. And I found out after that the owner, Yuliki or whatever his name is, he's using the same guy that I'm using. So he's probably the most talented in the group.
Yeah.
So I mean, but he doesn't know marketing enough, if that makes sense. It's a bit of Adobe design, can do the WordPress sort of stuff, can't really do ClickFunnels, gets the concept of it, but he's got a bit more skill than a Filipino that's going to pick up processes kind of thing. Yeah. But he can do editing, which is useful. So I found out that, I had a meeting with him scheduled every Monday, and he's with the boss doing his editing, apparently. Sorry, I was late, Mr. Gillespie. I was doing editing for the boss. I'm thinking, what am I paying you guys? What the hell? It's fine. It's like, so I'm going to have to probably cut ties and start again from scratch. So frustrating because I get about 3-4 hours sleep maximum. Yeah. I'm constantly in and out of hospital with my son. My mission, my why, the reason I wrote the book was because my son was born healthy, made severely disabled through negligence. And I've just really tried to keep never giving up. And that everything I do is about never giving up. A bit like you said on the TED Talk, it's like my book's pretty much, it's about perseverance. It really is about perseverance. Because I can't give up. I've got no choice. It's me. I can't give up. We've gone through cancer shit. We've gone through my wife's dad dying, literally. My son being made severely disabled, born totally healthy, coming home healthy, and my daughter having a rare condition called Joubert syndrome, which is like a middle part of her brain not fully being there, which leads her to be like autistic with many tantrums. But she's really good in it, if that makes sense. At the minute, when they grow older, it could be worse. But the point is, it just it's a really fucked up, stressful life. So I went into property, sold my house, put everything into that, and then went back into. Everyone just knew me for property because I focused just on property, right? They didn't know, and they're like, "Oh, you didn't know you do." Like for the last fucking most of my life, literally, I've been a Mac guy, if I'm being honest with you. I do PCs as well, but like from college, I was multimedia design, websites, 3D graphics,
Yeah.
the whole works. But and it's like many years. But like with anything, we stick with one sort of niche, go into another niche. My friends went to 3D and they're making games for like PlayStation and all that kind of thing. We were on the same course. I went to web design. I ended up at the BBC doing web design for the BBC. And then it's like things have changed now. It's not like how you used to do web design now. It's everything's totally different. Like they are more funnels, you know, if you're doing it properly anyway. But there are so many people just coming out of the woodwork that haven't got a fucking clue, and it's really scary. It's really scary, and they've probably got a good presence, you know, or there's a lot of women actually coming into the field now. A lot of women coming.
There are. I think with that's because
using a bit of sex, you know, using a bit of.
Yeah, well, I think it's always been there. I just think nobody's been shining a light on them. I know certainly with the ClickFunnels community. When I spoke to Russ Brunson back in February,
yeah.
We had some private sessions and he was talking about shining a light on a lot of the stuff. So you're seeing like the Rachel Petersons and the Julie Stowens and all those guys are starting to get more visibility. Liz Benny, because Russ has decided to do that. They were always there, but I think a lot of the marketing industry, certainly online, has been male orientated or male focused.
Yeah, definitely.
Which isn't entirely true. There's a lot of partners and people that I'm speaking to that have been doing that stuff quietly for years, building agencies up and things. It's just that I think they behave a little bit differently online, which is quite interesting in itself.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree, definitely. But it is quite interesting to see how different people are growing their audiences in that respect. I mean, I know quite a few people that are doing it. It could be for branding, could be for other things, but they are using sex, and if they can get away with it, you know, or being sexy or that kind of thing. And it's like, you know, if I could use my bald head, I would.
Well, it's interesting trying to create a brand authority or a personality for yourself.
Yeah.
The brief that we had when we did all that ClickFunnels rebuild was like everything that we did had to be sexy. So even if we were building funnels for like, I don't know, fucking carpentry or something.
Yeah.
You know, it had to have appeal, and that appeal partly was around the content, partly was around the photography. You know, it's not like a girl in a bikini draped across a worktop. It was you know, slightly more subtle than that, but the use of the photography, the lighting, the content, the layout, you know, everything had to be desirable, which kind of makes sense. But I think, you're starting to see now the next level of that coming through. It's either pattern interrupt or, you know, beautiful in some way to actually get people's attention, because everywhere is just so fucking noisy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the thing is, it's like funnels. I mean, they say that the simpler funnels are the ones that convert the best as well. Sometimes being it's got to be beautiful still, but it can't be, you know, too noisy. But then, ironically, in China and sort of Asian countries, they actually like a lot of crap everywhere. You know,
they do. I did a project for Ambient Lounge, the interiors company. They've got like a big division in Japan, and we did a load of stuff for them. And apart from the massive headache of getting all the content translated into Japanese, which was horrific, real challenge trying to get that done. I had to work with 2 translators and a copywriter to get it all sorted. But yeah, they absolutely do. They are just used to being bombarded by imagery. That's the way that their society works, with most of the major cities, with all the digital billboards and that kind of stuff. They're just, their brains are wired in a slightly different way. It's just a societal thing. Whereas you do design work for like the Canadians or the Australians, and again, it's a different thing. This idea of, I think, different societies kind of absorbing what they see in different ways is really, really true. And not a lot of designers are aware of that when they start doing stuff for a client that's in a particular location serving a particular audience.
Exactly.
You got to think a bit deeper.
You got to know your audience. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, that's a big mistake that a lot of people do. And I've got to be honest with you. I mean, I am not as consistent as I'd like to be. And that's probably, it's not excuses. It's because of my situation. I'd love to be more consistent. I could do so much more, sell more, be more. But the reality is I've just come to a complete acceptance that I am what I am. I can only do what I can do. And I'll smash it with what I've got, and that's the best way I can move forward. I mean, I call it wave marketing. It's a little term I called it myself, but it's basically like a wave. It's going to keep coming, but you don't know when. It's not always consistent, and it's at different levels. So I might be able to do a live stream where it's like more power, more punch, a bigger wave, or it might be like little tricklets. It might be a bit more personal sort of stuff. And I think that for me works for me. And the reason why I sort of like want to sort of highlight it a bit more lately is because I know a lot of people there's people like me that are trapped, or there might be parents with kids at home. It might be a mother, for instance. So I think it's important to let them know that you can still do shit if you really want, even with like, fuck all sleep and all that kind of thing.
But this is where you've got to know your own pace. You've got to have the breathing space and the capability to look at yourself, to look at your own flow, your own energy, your own dreams and visions. And this is where what I'm seeing and have done for the past couple of years, I guess, is where a lot of the silver bullet programs out there, which are basically cookie cutter programs, like if you learn this, if you do this, if you do that, you will get 10,000 a month. And it's like, yes, if you're that sort of person, but if you've gone in and you've paid for that program expecting those results, and that's not the way that you flow.
The problem is,
it's against the grain of your personality, or it's stretching your capability too far, then you will fail, and you will have spent a lot on your credit card to achieve a dream, and you'll actually feel deflated. And what I'm trying to do this next few months is just call that kind of shit out and get people to think about themselves and the situations and their own vision, and then go and find the consultant, the agency, the program, the training modules that actually serve their needs, rather than just going, oh, there's a guy over here that, I've seen his ad 18 million times, therefore he must be really good. I'm going to go and spend 10 grand on that. All that will end up happening is you'll believe that your vision is broken, and that's not true. It's just you pick the wrong teacher.
It can really knock you. I mean, I've seen people, and I've been that very person that's been to conferences, events, and you get all hyped up and you're like, right, I'm going to do this. And then you feel really deflated after, because you can get really hyped up. And these places like the whole conventions that ClickFunnels do and other people do are amazing. They are amazing. They really do. And Tony Robbins even might be a different niche, but they can really get you going, get your inspiration going, all kind of thing. But the reality is, like those disclaimers, these results aren't always, they're not I can't even remember the exact word, but they're not the usual results, basically. And the people just are tying into this stuff, and they're paying a shitload of money monthly, and they're paying mortgages. Literally monthly, in the hope they're going to make that money back. And they can. It's not impossible, but a lot won't. A lot won't. That's the reality. A lot won't, and it's scary. And even the ones that do, they're not always making it. There's like that, So it's not as straightforward. I think back in the day, your Sam Evans and all them lot, they really they were riding right at the top of the wave, literally.
Mm-hmm.
They were pushing the consultancy stuff and all the stuff out there that was really, pushing it out at the right time. And a lot of people made a lot of money. And I don't know if you heard of Mobe. That went. Well, I joined Mobe, and it was a great community. And it didn't feel, when you're joining it, that it was like some sort of like MLM type thing. And I don't think it was, to be honest with you. I think Matt Lloyd's very genuine and upfront, and he says it straight. Disclaimers are there. But the FTC still shut them down because they got big. And that's, all these programs, it's £2,000 to join. and they're promising you like a cookie cutter thing, you can make £10,000, blah, blah, blah. Those are the sort of programs that are being watched. They're being watched by the FTC. It's scary. They had money back guarantees. They had, everything is your choice if you want to join. You can be a consultant if you want to, or you could have just joined at £49 and got the training. It was people's choice. But even with people's choice, they still. I mean, the guy bought a Fiji island. They were giving out rings that are worth millions of dollars and stuff like this. And literally just gone, disappeared now out of the blue. Just unbelievable. Companies like that just disappear, and they were so strong, had everything covered, and they still, if they want to get them, they'll get them.
Yeah,
so that's the danger of success. That is the danger of success. And it could even happen to Russell Brunson. People think it can't.
Yeah.
You like to think it won't because he's got a software. So, but it could if they choose to say, a lot of people are being scammed and this, and this. They could, in theory, do it. So it's a very tricky game.
And again, this is where I think people believe what they see without necessarily thinking. And I think this is true with like common media, offline, all the rest. Yeah. The 6K stuff that I did a few years ago, where I put that promise down to myself that I was still not entirely fulfilled. Part of it I'm still aiming towards because it's part of the vision.
Goals, though, isn't it? We need that.
Yeah, but that original program then had like a mentorship layer around it, and then it became something else, and then it became something else, and then it became proof. Yeah. So there's been like 4 or 5 stepping stones for them to effectively move from, how to create a digital marketing agency to a SaaS product that hundreds of thousands of people are now using, and paying them monthly for.
Yeah,
I remember talking to Dave and not knocking Dave at all, but that was all part of the strategy. They had a 5-year plan to start somewhere and end up somewhere else. Yeah. And that's without legislation or industry interference or any of that stuff. That was just their own battle plan. You're right. Russ Brunson could have exactly the same thing with ClickFunnels. He could choose tomorrow to close it down because what he's actually got is a inner circle retreat system where if you're an 8-figure entrepreneur, you can pay him $200,000 a year and be part of his inner circle. He doesn't need the ClickFunnels thing anymore because he's got something else. And it's like none of us really know on the surface what the background business strategies are. What we've actually got to do, for me anyway, is be really clear on what you need, get what you want from whatever it is that you're paying for.
Yeah.
But create a sustainable business that doesn't rely on one thing. If that completely evaporates, make sure that you've got a way of continuing to run your business. Because if not, you're just at massive risk. If you rely on a platform and it disappears, or you rely on a advertising source and that disappears or gets turned up or you get booted out. It's
partly why. Sorry, I totally agree. It's partly why. I mean, I went through a whole ClickFunnels journey. I went to the Kartra journey. I went to Hivio journey. I went through Builderall journey, and I found that the best one was Builderall. Honestly. I don't know if you've used Builderall.
I did. I used it in the early beta, and the problem that I had, because I'm acutely aware that 80% of every single campaign that I've ever worked on is mobile based. At that point, when I was going through the beta, the Builderall mobile and responsive support was terrible.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm still hacking ClickFunnels a lot. There's a lot of additional CSS that I inject into the ClickFunnels builds and the Kartra stuff actually, and Convertri. I'll use
all of them. I haven't used Convertri at all.
It's bloody fast. The editor's not that clever. It's a little bit clunky, but if you're used to coding and building stuff, it's not too bad. But it is seriously fast, like 3 times faster than any of the other platforms for actually delivering pages to audiences. And
that's what Builderall's like now, because he's bought loads of CDNs. And they're based off emergency servers. So like 911s, they'll never go down, that kind of thing.
I want to do some testing. I want to do a test for like the entire digital marketing community. I want a big stack of traffic.
I
want a big heavy duty funnel. But what I want to do is split test it between every one of the major platforms.
Yeah, good. Yeah,
it's got to look the same. It's got to work the same. The traffic sources will be split at the source. But what I want to do is actually look after maybe 2 weeks of optimizing both the funnels and the traffic and go, looking at this, like it's Builderall that's always the clear winner. ClickFunnels too fat.
Joe Barnes did a similar thing, didn't he? Joe Barnes did a similar
Yeah.
He was blatant that Builderall was the winner. But there are issues with Builderall. So I'm not in this cuckoo world. I mean, that's my affiliate link, Regenerate, by the way. But like the Builderall has got its issues still, but they've got so much in it. I mean, it's got a webinar, it's got a Zoom. This is what I'm saying. It's the Zoom thing in it. It's got you can build apps in it if you want to piss around and build apps in it. You know, I mean, it's almost too much, if I'm being honest. It's almost too much, and that's their problem. They've got too much going on. They want to provide everything, be the full marketing platform. Their Mailing Boss was really shit at the beginning, which was their equivalent to Infusionsoft. It was really, really crap. Now it's really, really good. They've got a flow system, so you can see like a flow chart, and you can see abandoned carts, and it's like a chart, like Active Campaign, where you can see the actual flow of the emails. It's really, really good. But they still need improvement. But then I could say the same for Kartra, say the same for like ClickFunnels. There's so many things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the ClickFunnels stuff, when we did all that project, and I'm not affiliated with ClickFunnels at all. I've got the full fat account that I fucking pay for every month.
Yeah. I know that's the other thing. $29 if you want to be an affiliate. $49 on Builderall. I mean, fucking hell. And
I'm paying $297.
Yeah, it's crazy. But then you've got the script generator within Builderall. You've got, you know, there are things that are clunky, but the web templates are beautiful. Some really, really nice ones. It's a really nice platform, and they've got e-commerce built in now. They've just added e-commerce.
See, that's the thing as well, because ClickFunnels is shit for membership sites.
Yes.
I mean, it's terrible for it. It was never built for that, and we were all complaining when we were doing new templates for the membership sites, like, these aren't fit for purpose. Like, we can create stuff that looks beautiful.
Yeah.
But what about like module tracking? What about completion stuff? What about stats for the admins? What about a chat system?
Yeah.
You know, so many things inside that membership site that Teachable or Kajabi or Thinkific really well that ClickFunnels just...
They're still ironing out the one in Builderall, but what they've got ghost members, which is bloody brilliant. So if you go online, you know, you're like waiting for people to come online. You can actually populate when people come in at certain times and ask even specific questions that you want to answer. Yeah. So you can actually get people to encourage engagement. So you have ghost attendees basically, which is pretty awesome, I think, because at the end of the day, that really does help, and that can be in live. You know, that really does help. Number one, you feeling nervous or you're on, there's no one coming on. But number two, directing your it's not being dodgy if you do it properly. I mean, obviously people could, be a bit dodgy and start making out all the engagements from these people and start saying, yeah, I bought your program for like 2000.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It was amazing.
I paid 3 times the price.
Exactly. But the good thing with Builderall is they monitor a lot of things, and they don't want people, because they know they could get screwed. They don't want people to overinflate what they're making, how much they're making off the platform as an affiliate. They're keeping an eye on a lot of things. So anyone they just get banned, literally straight away, just get banned. They've done it a couple of times. Been a few ClickFunnels guys in the early days when I joined about a year ago, when they tried to sabotage it, come in and say, that kind of thing. But actually, ironically, we've had a lot of ClickFunnels people join Builderall now, which is just crazy. There's like Rachel S. Lee, she just got the car bonus in ClickFunnels, and she's smashing it in Builderall. Yeah. You know what I mean? So she's like promoting Builderall as well. But I think
this is the thing: you got to pick a platform or pick a tool that's actually suitable for the job.
Yeah,
that's what I say. Although I'm tied in with ClickFunnels regard design and using that whole experience, partly for authority, partly for positioning for my own business.
It has got the best authority positioning, definitely. If you say
he has, because quite simply, if you think about, like, if you want to clean the floor,
yeah,
say, where's the Hoover? I mean,
Yeah.
that is beautiful branding. If
Uber. Yeah.
most average Joes out there think about funnels, they'll think about ClickFunnels. It's just
Exactly that. Yeah.
creation.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think there's going to have to be a point. What will happen is Builderall could fall totally flat. And I mean, I know ClickFunnels, and I know Builderall, and I know Kartra, right? Kartra I didn't really get on with, although it's a kind of a mixture between the both. But I didn't feel comfortable. The user experience I didn't really feel comfortable with. But I guess once you get used to things more and so on. But I think what will happen is I think Russell will be forced. Because if you go to Alexa and you see where Builder is, it's gone from a certain basage to it's surpassing lead pages.
Yeah.
And if you look at ClickFunnels, it's actually dropped.
Yeah.
So actually, Builder is going up there, ClickFunnels is coming down there, and lead pages is kind of doing that as well. So Builder is growing really fast for a reason, but they've still got problems. And the problem with them going fast is that a lot of people expect everything to be perfect because they've got so many tools. If they were just a builder with a bit of a webinar, they would have smashed it. So if they were doing exactly what ClickFunnels were doing, they would have smashed it. But they've got so much other crap within it, which is really useful, but they need to finish them off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they're getting there. They are getting there. So I really do enjoy it. So, I mean, I still, in the ClickFunnels community, I still know you to use ClickFunnels. If a client's got ClickFunnels, I'll make stuff for them on ClickFunnels. But for me, my personal stuff, I'm having to play with Builderall.
Yeah, I'm going to have another look at that one again. Like I say, Convertri amazed me just simply for its speed. And I did start thinking, actually, shall I, me and the team go back into bespoke WordPress builds and actually start building stuff out on WordPress, because then we can control like every variable.
Yes. Yeah.
But that becomes a bit of a headache. And then I'm thinking, well, using ActiveCampaign a lot for dynamic sequencing and automations, like that's another license, that's another API integration. And then we've got Shopify and some of the other e-com platforms for that stuff. So it's like, you got your funnels over here, you've got your email lists over here, you've got your automation. It just like, I don't want to put everything in one basket, but at the same time, every time you're putting a call out to somewhere else, you're just increasing load. You're creating delays. You're,
which is why,
another specialist.
Which is another reason why I went into the old Builderall side of things. But the good thing with Builderall is built on HTML5.
Yeah.
So actually, if it crashed, they can actually totally get your whole thing built up with HTML5. They can actually pass you all the code.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So everything's still there, and they have backups on big servers and all that thing. ClickFunnels is it's our community, and that's it. Screw you. This is the software. It's not built on that. And the SEO in ClickFunnels is not the best either, as is the webinar and all that kind of stuff as well. With the SEO built into Builderall is bloody amazing. You can do a lot within the page. But anyway, we're just talking
geeking out.
We need to do the actual show because I know we haven't got. I'm sure you haven't got a lot of time. But so you let me know when you're ready, and I'll introduce you to welcome to mic drops and all that kind of thing, and then we'll just edit it from there, I guess.
Yeah, that's cool. Do you mind if I grab a cuppa?
No, you go for it, mate. You go for it. Yeah, of course, go for it.
I'll leave you for a second with the.
Okay, mate.
I think she's asleep. There's a puppy on the settee across from me, and she's curled upside down. If the postman
upstairs.
1 second.
Okay, mate. Hey, Morgan. Hey, mate. All right. Yeah, not bad, thank you. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I've got like a month. Yeah. I don't get why we've not got Walton and Hipkiss though. It's just, I don't know. It's just. Yeah. Yeah. It's all separate though, isn't it? You know, that's the thing. But that's what confused them. Plan and approval. Oh, right, okay. Yeah. 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 I was just told a rough idea that it'd be on Thursday, but no one's confirming me, which is really annoying. Could you chase it with them? Because they were supposed to call me yesterday, no one did. I phoned them, Geraldine. She goes, yeah, imminent, he'll be calling you imminently, and no one called. But I've been told it's that guy I sent you the message on. He's a Worcester number, so he's from Worcester. So yeah, dreading it, to be honest with you, more because there's a lot hinging on this. It's time and everything else. But the thing is obviously the solicitor side of things takes time as well. The solicitor, if you could let him know the absolute importance, we need to get this done real quick. Explain to him, you know, he's on major. He's going to be on 7K fine. It should. I like to think it should be quick and straightforward. But yeah, if you can explain to them as well, it's really helped my client. You know, because you know him, don't you? You know the guy. And he's definitely cool with the whole planning thing. So even if the valuer goes, says, oh, this and this, they're fine with it on Octane. Because yeah. Well, the other thing is, I had to change the warranty. I had to change it because they have to have it on specific bank name. And it was on Shawbrook. So the 6-year PCC warranty from the architect's warranty was invalid. So I just realised that, and I got them to change it to Octane. So I've just done that recently. But that could have been a major flaw. You know, I'm just trying to get all the eggs lined up so I'm not screwed, basically. Massively stressful, Morgan, honestly, mate. It really is. Because, yeah. I'm just about to do an interview in a bit in a way, so I'm keeping busy. I'm interviewing Rob Sales, another marketing guy, really top bloke. Yeah, but yeah, we'll get you on at some point as well, buddy. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot we can do, mate. Definitely. All right, buddy. All right, mate. You take care. See you, mate. Bye. Sorry about that, Rob.
That's all right, mate.
Yeah, that's just that's me that sorting out with a broker fucking this nightmare situation where we're like all these builders. I shouldn't be laughing, but it's just like, you know when you hit shit in life, no matter how much shit can happen, fuck it. It's scaring me. I'm still worried, but I'm trying my best. You know what I mean? And I'll give you a brief outline before we start the I did a massive building project because I need to have some sort of like income apart from me totally relying on the whole internet stuff, because we're in and out of hospital, you know. So I sold my house that I lived in and invested in property, went on a course, 20 grand course, you know, fucking expensive, these property courses, and learned some shit and put it to action because my reason why. And cut long story short, got one HMO, doing one bigger one, which is like going to be 15 rooms. But it was on Crowd Property, bridging, and it was supposed to be a 6-month project. We're at month 12. We're at month 13 now, right? So, what happened is the warranty company went bust. 10 grand of my money. You can't get it back because it's a Danish company. Apparently, they don't cover you in the UK, so no FSC covers you. Yeah. So 10 grand just gone. Had to find a new warranty company. You need it to refinance. That was a 3-month delay because they don't tell you straight away they've gone bust. They just piss you about for 3 months. And then the builders just went off on a tangent on other work and just totally left little bits that I couldn't finish off, like en suites. They needed finishing off. Like, what the fuck? You know, and they had a good chunk of money. They still required some money, but they just didn't care. They went on bigger deals, you know. So that delayed it another 3 months. So we're like, massive delays, and I'm supposed to be refinanced out, and like I'm going to be on 7 grand a month fees, and I'm only doing this for my son. and it's all my life savings, everything. It's so fucking scary. So my goal is to push more, do a bit more on this sort of stuff, and have just something of, you know, an income, a bit more there. But it's really scary, man. The broker's just trying to, you know, put a few things here and there. I don't think you can push it that forward, to be honest with you, but try and make things happen a bit quicker if we can. But it's freaking scary. It really is. But what can you do? Life.
Yeah, it's one of those things I learned these past few years to. I remember talking to someone about it and kind of saying it's a little bit like hanging off a cliff by your fingertips. Like the first time that you're doing stuff for yourself, that shit hits the fan is terrifying. And it's like any muscle or any habit or behavior, like over time, you're still in the same position.
Yeah.
You're still back against the ropes or hanging off the cliff, but actually you realise that you've got a lot more strength. And I've found myself this past 6 months kind of like metaphorically hanging off the cliff for weeks. Just like, oh, here I am. Yeah. Been here before. Yeah, whatever. You know, if I keep pushing like this and doing that and moving this and staying positive and being in the right, you know, mindset and framing things right, it'll work out. But the first few times that you go through that, it is like your brain just naturally, it's human instinct from thousands of years ago, just naturally has like an inert fear.
Yeah.
Something that probably won't happen, but it drives you to absolute despair, and it's learning to tame that beast and just kind of cracking on with it, because it will work itself out. It's just right now you don't know how.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And if it doesn't, you know, as long as you're still alive, right? You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's like, it's a shame. I'll fuck up for my kids. Really, that's what it feels like, if you know what I mean. But it's like any business, like starting a marketing agency or whatever it may be, you know, it could fuck up and you could spend a lot of money on courses and stuff like that. 2 seconds, mate, because this could be the evaluator. Sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
Hello. Speaking. Hi there. Right. It may be, but now's not right. I'm just on a meeting. Can you email it to me at all? Or okay, thank you. Cheers. Bye. Sales. Sorry about that, mate. Right, I think we better start, because I'm gonna be. We've done a lot of geek talk, right? Okay, I'll count to 3 and then start. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Welcome to Mic Drops Up Close, and we've got Rob Sales here. So welcome, Rob. Really.
Hello. How you doing?
Amazing. Yeah, it's brilliant to have you here, mate. Just explain to the audience that Rob is basically someone we connected with within a similar sort of background as myself. A really top guy, really genuine. I always watch what he's doing. He's a really great guy. I mean, the last time I connected with you was pretty recently, actually, to be fair. But we just want to pick your brains and go up close with you, Rob, if that's fine with yourself.
Absolutely, yeah. Anything you ask.
Yeah. So I mean, basically, I mean, as the title suggests, we want to get up close and find out a little bit of how you started in your career, and you know how you found it, and what you found beneficial for people, you know, wanting to do something similar or starting business like yourself. So where did you start?
So I was actually in uni, final year of uni, doing a music course, which was, a little bit of it was production, some of it was actual performance. There's a load of video stuff that we were doing, a load of studio stuff that we were doing. I still do music now. It's still a massive part of me, and the same with video. But there was a tiny little module in my final year course. This was, 94, 95, called the internet. And I'm like, what is the internet? And I remember my tutor like goading me, because we'd just come out of doing like a week's worth of studio recording and editing and production, and we were doing some videos, putting everything together. And he was like, it's going to be the future. Like, you're going to be able to put your videos out on computers and other people all around the world are going to see it. And I'm like, no, This is insane. And I literally, I fell in love with the whole concept. I went out of the music industry, where I'd started getting a bit of a name for myself. You know, done some singles and done some album work and worked with quite a lot of big names, you know, a lot of live work. Snow Patrol, Spice Girls, all that sort of stuff. I was involved with that whole thing in the late 90s, which was cool in itself. But I'm like, no, I need to go and do this stuff. I bounced around a load of digital agencies, basically like just doing junior stuff, developer, designer. I worked my way up to project management and account management. I then started running big studios, big teams of you know, just independent companies. Dot-com bubble happened, and a lot of businesses went under, really struggled with stuff. Marketing budgets got stripped. So I went and worked for a corporate. I, at this point, was doing digital strategy, so like high-end corporate digital strategy stuff. And it burnt me out. I spent 8 years there, and I remember probably in the last 6 months, as we were coming up to another round of restructures, and I was looking after a team of like 200 people, doing all the strategy stuff for a big insurer. And I remember finding myself over and over again, like getting out of meetings as quick as I could, and like going and either hiding in the toilet or going for a fag break or going to get early lunch. And I realized what I was doing. I was trying to escape. I didn't have at that time the kind of insight into my own behavior to go, you're trapped. You know, you're like a trapped animal just trying to get out.
Yeah.
And when the last round of redundancies came through, my wife, for probably 3 months, had said, you know, every time you come home from that long commute after a hard day doing corporate stuff, you are grey. You're like, there's no personality left. You're just a shell of yourself. And I remember like sitting on the beach near our house and just going, something's got to change. So when the redundancy came around, I literally grabbed it. I didn't have a clue what I was going to do. I just grabbed it, and I thought, you know what, I've kind of done freelancey bits all the way through my employment career with other people. I've done little bits of web design, I've done this and I've done that. Maybe I can do something with that. And this was about 3 years ago, and I literally just stepped into this big, cold, brave new world.
I know, scary, innit?
Yeah, and I'm like, this is it. And honestly, I think for the past 3 years, I've had some epic failures, some massive learnings.
I think it's really important for people to grasp and understand that, because you know, like you, I had a very similar situation when I worked at the BBC doing web stuff. And you know, it was a big institution, great people, really great friends there, great connections and so on. But you know, there comes a point when you just, you know, I like that feeling. I was feeling it as you were saying it, because I was like, I was there with you. You know what I mean? I think it's very easy to assume that it's very straightforward and you can just, it's this really cool, you know, place to be. But at the end of the day, if you're not fully completely comfortable and you want to escape, you need to just escape and just do it. It's risky and scary, but you just got to just do it. And it was around about the same time that Dad got diagnosed with cancer, and he went downhill pretty fast. The relationship that we had when I was a kid was really rubbish. Right.
That period that we went through for about a year before he died, he really opened up about his own shortcomings and his own failures and how he was a workaholic, and he knew that he didn't, you know, raise us as a family in the way that really he should have done. There was a lot of regret, a lot of making up. I mean, we became very, very close in that period, and I kind of understood him, and I understood, you know, me as an imprint of him growing up. I understood my own behaviors, and it really, really got me thinking, exactly as you say, it's like, you have one life. You need to step back and look at how you feel about yourself and the situation, but actually take responsibility for the fact that you get up in the morning, you go to that job, and you live for the weekend and say that you hate it and dread Monday morning. You're the only one that can really, truly take responsibility for that and do something about it. And it might be terrifying. And it might be weird, and you might not know what you're doing. And if you've gone through education, and you've been in a job for 20 years, effectively you're shielded from so many things. You're just, kind of following a single process, but it's not the only way of living your life. And sometimes you have to go out there and do something where you know that there's a vision, there's a goal, there's a reason why you're doing it. You have no idea how you're going to get there. And that's completely different to having a job where you get a salary at the end of the month.
Yeah.
But if it's killing you, if it's crushing you, you need to go and do something else.
And there must be so many people like that out there, even now, where they feel that way. I mean, and I think it's really important to focus on the fact that sometimes we can have that aspiration to do that, but sometimes actually where you are is quite good as well. And it's really important for people to understand, actually, sometimes it's not changing the place you're in or the job you're in, but change your mindset and actually start saying to yourself, I love Mondays now. It'd be great to get to see my colleagues at work, because sometimes people take the leap and they've taken it too early, or you're forced. I mean, I used to really be exactly that person, and then my son was made severely disabled, and then I found myself in hospital, like non-stop, not being able to provide for my family, and then I was like, wished none of this would happen, and I was back at work.
Yeah.
That same place I was like wishing I didn't have to work at, and sometimes, like, I've changed my career through being forced. My reason why, my son, as I told you, international bestseller. My little Spartan, little plug there. But basically, and it's my reason why. And you had the similar reason why with what happened to your situation. And I think it's really touched home as well, because what you mentioned with your dad, and you find yourself being workaholics. And even now, as a marketing guy and a designer myself, you do end up being a bit of a workaholic, even if you try not to. It's just really important to claw that back as much as you can, because, like you say, it's really important to see how you were affected with your own father, and how we might be doing the same thing with our own kids.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I mean, my son's birthday was yesterday. 23 years old.
Congratulations.
I mean, it's incredible. He's still got all his limbs, so we must have done but, when I look back, probably 2 years backwards, a lot of the behaviours and a lot of the upbringing that he had from me, very, very similar to what I had with my dad. I was grafting. I was coming home grey. I was finding excuses to not go out and play football or do something at the weekend. Running my own business has been crazy long hours for the past couple of years, like 4 a.m. starts through to whenever certain things needed done, as I'm trying to work out all the moving pieces and scale the business.
And there's a lot. Yeah,
but it always comes down to kind of knowing yourself and situations. And as you say, learning more the mindset things than the technical things of running a business, but that there is a fundamental reason why you are doing it. And if it is for your family, then you have to learn how to switch off. You have to learn that there is a clear line between you as the business owner and you as the family man or the dad. And that, if you have to have it on a great big poster on your wall, or you have to meditate about it first thing in the morning, or remind yourself when you go to bed at night, or when you walk out the door frame, the difference between your business and you as a man and you as a dad and you as an individual, that is always there. You're always reminding yourself of your real reasons for doing it. Because I think as well, when you do run a business, when you're trying to get it off the ground and make it successful and all the rest, you're going to have so many hurdles. So many things. Something you haven't planned for hits you. A client drops out, or you've got an unexpected bill to pay, or a member of staff's ill, or whatever kind of position that you're currently in. If you keep your eyes and remind yourself of that yellow brick road and the kind of destination, it's like, these are problems right now, but actually I'm keeping my eyes on this big thing here. I will work out these problems as we go along, but because I truly believe in my dream, I've got the energy, I've got the mindset to actually deal with it. I just don't know how I'm going to get over this hurdle right now, but screw it. Maybe by tomorrow it'll be resolved.
Exactly. And I mean, a lot of the audience don't know, me and Rob, we had a real long hour conversation before, because because we're quite geeky and passionate, and yeah, we had a really good conversation before, and we touched a bit on this before. Just naturally, we're supposed to start the live, and we just started chatting away from, because yeah, and Rob's a really top guy. I mean, I saw you at the Facebook F8 event, weren't you?
Yeah.
Was it last year? Was it last year? I can't remember. Was it earlier this year?
There's been a few. Yeah, I've done the F8 over in Brussels. I did a load of stuff down in London. I kind of fell into it. It's one of those things, I think, where it was an unexpected networking opportunity, and obviously do a lot of stuff with the ClickFunnels community as well. But
yeah,
all of that was at a pivotal point where Dad was literally on his last legs. And I remember probably the last few things that he ever said before he got the horrible death rattle, and we realised that he was actually on his way out, was just don't regret stuff. Like, just do something. If you fail doing it, so what? Just don't regret.
What we spoke about, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
I'm trying a property, been all right in it so far, but you just don't know. You just don't know. And it's like with all this marketing stuff, we're doing okay, but again, there's still things that can just turn up, and you just don't know.
I know. Well, what happened, the reason why I got into the Facebook stuff and the ClickFunnels stuff and started actually creating quite powerful networks within the digital marketing communities, which is great for authority building, brand awareness, strategic partnerships, all of those kind of things. It all came about a couple of years ago when some of the guys from ClickFunnels had seen some designs that I've been creating for clients and said, we want you to come to this design-a-thon over in, I think that was Boise, Idaho, over in the States. They're like, there's 30 designers. We're all going to get in a room and we're going to just like geek out. We're going to design some really, really cool stuff. And as I say, it was about the time that Dad was really, really, close to dying. And I got my head up my arse about that stuff, and I thought the business really needed me at that point. And I turned around to these guys at ClickFunnels and said no. And when you have a conversation with someone and you say no, and like as soon as the words come out of your mouth and you put the phone down, you're like, shit, why did I say that? And I honestly regretted it for days. I moped about my decision, and
but because you had that, you were in the right position to say that, though, weren't you?
I was, but because the way that it worked, they were booking
long term. Yeah, you can't stop what was going to happen to your dad, but I can understand the pressure and the thing of wanting to grow the business. And
it was just one of those. You don't get an incoming opportunity like that from a big organisation to work as a secret insider.
Yeah,
but at that split second, I just said no, and the flights got booked. Someone else got my seat. It was like, you can't change your mind now. This is gone. And it was about 2 weeks later that I went, you know what? A little bit like Richard Branson. Next time an opportunity comes to me to either speak to somebody really cool or get involved in a project that might be interesting or partner with somebody and scale the business, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to risk assess. I'm going to kind of sanity check it within myself. I'm going to make sure that it fits my dream potentially, that it doesn't kind of veer me right over there. But I'm going to say yes to stuff and work out the details later, which is kind of Branson's big.
Yeah.
You kind of say yes and then you
and then figure out later.
Yeah. And that's what I suppose over the last year or so has helped me catapult into the Facebook insiders community and also into the ClickFunnels stuff, which as a digital marketer, running an agency, owning a business is kind of, there are obviously other platforms, obviously other systems and products and bits of software out there.
Yeah.
But it's a good start. It's a good indication that if
ClickFunnels is one of the big ones out there at the end of the day. As you know, I've used ClickFunnels before, and I still use it for clients. And but I also use a Builderall. I've used Kartra even from what's one of Frank Kern's little spinners. But the reality is, as we discussed before, a lot of them are just tools, and people forget that. It's understanding the whole concept of marketing. Your connection with your client is really important. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes actually, it's the skill side of it is not even that important. I've seen people do really well with just their personality.
Agree.
And you know, and if they can gel enough, they can actually get the clients, you know, what their goals are. They can project them in their projects more accurately than someone.
Well, yeah, and this is the interesting process that I'm going through now. Is actually, and I think a lot of businesses do this at a key stage. Is I'm getting out of my own way.
Yeah.
Which means stopping thinking quite so much like a freelancer or a one-man band, and starting to think and behave like a CEO or a founder.
Yeah.
Where the vision for the business, obviously matching my own vision, and to a certain extent the dynamics of the team and the needs of the team, but the technical stuff, knowing that someone can do stuff. And this is where, for me, everything started coming full circle.
Yeah.
Knowing how to marry creative and technical stuff together, knowing how to build teams that can do stuff.
Yeah.
And basically being like a crazy glass ceiling where my son wasn't really feeling the relationship. I was far too busy designing and building and producing and client managing everything. It's like, I have to get out of my own way. I have to now start to spin up and build a team where I know what they're doing. I know why they're doing it. I'm happy to rubber stamp it and put my seal of quality on the work that our little agency is actually putting out there. But it gives me more time to do all of the things, both personally and in business, that I really need to do, like networking, building great relationships with people. I think when you're running a business, there are so many different things that you're unaware of if you're just an employed person. You have to do everything yourself. And it's like, how much time do you spend doing the admin, chasing the clients, sorting out the finances, doing
crazy, isn't it? I mean,
yeah. There's a lot of things to do, and I think a lot of people step into this idea of having their own business, probably unaware of a lot of that stuff, how much brain power it needs, how much time it's going to take,
and how complex it can be. I mean, clients think you've got these tools and you just do that and it's done. It's not straightforward.
Not at all. But for me now, it's a position where, you know, it's trying to be the founder. It's trying to be the guy that sets the vision, the guy that has a reputation, will work with a certain sort of client and get a certain sort of result.
Yes.
Actually now, there's a team behind me, and I'm constantly building that team up because it serves my vision. It serves my purpose. I get slightly more family time. You know,
which is obviously
it's trying to do that, and I would have never managed to do that. And I suppose I would leave that with anybody that's thinking about starting a business or thinking about scaling an existing business, is trying to work out how to move out of your own way.
Yes, definitely.
It may come at a cost. You may need to pay people. You may need to get people on a staff or pay contractors or whatever. So that's going to hit your margins.
Yeah.
There's a whole load of financial stuff you need to work through. It may be that building out a team so that you actually have a sustainable business and you are the boss of that business means that you need to go and hike your prices up or work for a different sort of client, because the clients you were working for, there's no margin in it for you to. And this is the problem that I've been through, is 90% of my old client base I couldn't continue to service because I'd be working at a loss. All my team into work on stuff.
I've been there. It's about giving nature as well, though. I mean, and there's a balancing act in, and that's where people connect with you because you're a genuine person and so on. But there is definitely, I know where you're coming from with the founder situation. I'm at that position myself. I even put a post not long back about, you know, scaling the business and so on, and it's so true what you're saying. And you've got to literally, you can't have these. The reason why these businesses have prices at certain levels is because they've got to keep the business going. Otherwise, there's no business, and that doesn't serve anyone. If you're going to create a good service and product, it doesn't serve anyone to do that.
No, I was having a chat with a friend of mine. He's got quite a successful business that's linked to renewable energy.
Yeah.
I'm not going into massive detail, but anyway, he's linked to renewable energy. in the UK and Europe. They've got a team that go out and do stuff, and they were looking, because of the shift patterns that they've currently got are brutal. It's like 2 weeks solid work away from home, 48 hours off, 2 weeks back on again. And it's like, for the young guys, the inexperienced guys, traveling around, living in hotels, getting a decent chunk of cash is fine. For the more experienced guys that they need, that have got families, that is not sustainable. Like, you know, a dad or a mum, you know, kind of doesn't matter. It could be male or female worker, but you know, the dad is not going to last very long without fracturing the relationship with the family with that kind of pattern. What they realised is they needed to change the shift pattern. To change the shift pattern, they needed to bring in more staff, because they couldn't rely on 10 people working that. They had to get 20 or 30, but with, you know, like a week on, a week off, but whatever. You can kind of see the
I know, because we've got carers for my son.
Yeah. So they're working through the logistics, and what they realised is that they need to be charging more. And that's like, okay, but your current market won't pay those kind of prices. You now need to reposition, which means you need to redefine your market, redefine your proposition, redefine your products, redefine your pricing, sort out your logistics, your admin, your financing, and all the rest of it. All of that because they were trying to scale. And I think it's a common problem that a lot of businesses have got. When they start out, they think, well, we've got this product or service and we can put this price tag on it and we'll make this margin and it's great for this audience. But what if the audience dries up? Or what if you need to grow? You know, have you got some way that you can sustainably scale, and have you actually thought all those things through? And that's exactly what I'm going through right now, which is exciting, scary. It's like every emotion all at the same time, every morning waking up.
Don't forget, you've been through it before in a different level. And this is the incremental growth that we as businesses need to go through. I mean, like I mentioned briefly before, when I was in hospital, my business had to change, and I actually went to design and print. So I used my skill set from before, and I thought in my head, having a print shop, literally, and I had an outbuilding within my reach. I would literally, it'll be better than being on the computer. For some reason I had in my head, because it'd be an exchange of, you print stuff out, you do banners, whatever it is, you exchange your money, you can move on quite quickly. There's none of this 30-day business, 60-day business payment sort of plan. That's what I was thinking in my head. So I bought a CNC machine, embroidery machine, a big two meter printer, a wide printer. And I learned everything myself, because that was a field I didn't know, printing. I learned it. I knew the design, I knew the marketing, websites and so on. But the printing I didn't know. And I did that at the time when my son was like, back home with us, now severely disabled, with 3 hours sleep at night. It was freaking hard. You're the designer, you're the account manager, you're the person that goes out to do quotes. You've got to create the products. You get the back and forth stuff, the nightmare, literally the whole thing. And I got 5 out of 5 stars, no problem. Products were great, everything was great, everyone was really happy with the stuff. But it was killing me. It was killing me. And I think there was a point where I could grow, and what I should have done at that point was actually build a team. But I was too afraid of building a team back then. So in the end, when I sold my house and went into a bit of property investing, I literally just sold all my equipment and just said, right, that's it. I just can't do this. It was just killing me. It was just killing me. And that feeling of, but it was a win, but a failure at the same time in my head, because all the work, everything I did was successful, no problems there. But the failure was that I actually gave it up. But then I gave it up to take on something else. And I think it's really important when you're starting out in business to understand that actually you got to take things. You can juggle a few things, that's fair enough. But if you really want to make real impact, you've got to focus. And so when I started going into property investing, I focused. So a lot of my property investing guys didn't even know until I came to the end of my my training and everything I did in property. Didn't even know I did marketing and all that kind of stuff, which is testament to the fact that I kind of hid it well, or not really hide it. I just didn't focus on it. I just wanted to focus on one thing. There's that book, The One Thing. And it's really, really, really important to do that. And I think when you're growing up in your business, you've got to mature with it, and I think it takes real hard decisions sometimes as a business owner to give up for the greater good. And I think what you're talking about in terms of like giving up that bit of responsibility, let your team, so you can be the founder, there's a simile there in that next level. And I think we're both at that stage where it needs to happen.
Yeah.
Number one, for sanity. Number two, for the business to grow. Number three, for more productivity and for better customer service, actually.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like me, we've got a good understanding of different areas. We're a bit geeky, you know, we're bold. That really counts for something. Yeah, but the reality is that we've got a bit of, you know, skill sets here and there. And I think managing teams is actually quite useful to have that, you know, rather than some managers don't come with any sort of knowledge of what the groundwork is, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, completely. It was my mentor that shone a bit of a spotlight on that last year. So he helped me. He was looking through my project management, like the work that I was doing. He was looking through the books. He was looking through the patterns of how I engaged potential clients, how I brought them to the business and actually got them signed up, what work we did ahead of the kind of design stages, what design work we did, what production work we did, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, your business is fundamentally flawed. You know, you say that you want to spend more time with the family, but I've been looking through your books. I've been looking through the way that you work. Around about a third of everything that you do is currently non-chargeable because you're doing consulting, you know, kind of planning digital projects, planning marketing campaigns and stuff. You're not charging for that.
It takes time.
Yeah. And he kind of pointed at a few big agencies that are just marketing consultants. They won't produce anything. All they'll do is come up with battle plans and strategies. You know, they'll sit with a client and they'll go, well, this is what you need to do. You need to be doing this with LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You need to do that with Facebook. And here's how you run ads and stuff. We won't produce any of it for you. What we'll do is we'll basically help you understand how it works.
Yeah.
We'll charge you for that stage, and then we'll palm you off to someone else to get the production work done.
Yeah.
My mentor's like, can you not see a direct correlation between you being a busy fool and you actually charging for what you're worth, the value of what you do? Like, effectively, you're undercharging stuff. And I instantly went and changed that. And since then, I've probably quadrupled prices, almost, you know, like the renewable energy concept, because it gives me the headroom to then make another big scary decision, which is to bring a team in where my reputation is sat on their shoulders. But the reason why it feels like it's come full circle is that 20 years that I was working as a studio manager for all these digital agencies, all those skills that I left on the floor when I left that kind of stuff, and then literally picking it back up, and I'm going, right, let's build a team. You know, they might be in India, America, the Philippines, Australia. It doesn't matter if they're physically remote. I've still got the skill sets to build a killer team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now that I've got the kind of margins to do that and make sure that everybody's well paid for the work and the client's still happy with the results, it becomes a sustainable business. But it's taken 3 years of literally bang, flat.
It's not straightforward, is it? I mean,
yourself up, get on with it, bang, flat on your face. You have to roll with that stuff.
Took a really big hit to kind of like get to that realization. And I think a lot of people don't realise the impact that you need really to take that decision, that leap, I guess. And you had obviously in your head, obviously the situation with your father. It's obviously horrible what happened, and you know we've got unfortunately lots of situations with cancer in our family. That it seems to be just everywhere at the minute. It's horrible, but it was nice that you made that connection with your dad, even though it was late. And then it made you grow into a better person yourself and understand, you know, if anything, he taught you something, even at that stage.
Absolutely. But you're kind of right. And this whole thing, I guess, isn't doing stuff in business, whatever business you do. For me, it isn't about the tactical stuff. It isn't about, oh, you need to do this, or you need to use that, or, you know, you need this manufacturing facility, or you need this digital process or whatever. It's actually about just framing stuff really to go, this is what I truly believe in. This is what I think my life's purpose is. Until I am literally croaking and then put in a wooden box, it's never too late. If I can deal with that feeling of falling over and failing, and I can literally like put myself back on my hands and knees and then learn to stand up and then learn to walk again. That's going to happen over and over and over again. There is no overnight success. But when you can do that to yourself and you believe in your vision and you realize that actually it's never too late until you are literally gone.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
You know, everything's in your hands. Everything's there ready for you to take. You just need to be brave enough to actually accept a challenge and go for it.
That's it. And I think a lot of people they underestimate, their potential. I never thought being dyslexic I could write a book. You know, I just never thought in a million years I'd be able to write a book. But I did, you know, and I'm dyslexic, and believe me, I wasn't a reader, and now I'm a reader and all that kind of thing. But the point is, you know, I never thought I could do it, yet put myself to it. You know, with lack of sleep, the situation with my son, I never thought I'd be able to build a property portfolio and a business or a marketing agency, if you say marketing, or, you know, or even a print business. I never thought I could do that. Like one man on his own with all that stress and no sleep, I never thought I could do it. But it's freaking possible, and it is about perseverance. And you mentioned earlier in our private chat before, which was like practically another interview. But we had you touched on you're going to do a TED talk. Do you want to tell the audience about your TED talk, because it touches on the perseverance kind of thing?
It does. So the TED that I think we're still bottoming out the details, but anyway, it's going to be at some point this autumn winter time. It's going to be about pushing boundaries. And part of it is about, you know, the northern lad from a bit of a grim, cold town, you know, going through school and going through higher education and going and getting a job and realizing that things aren't quite right. But actually, it's more about, the talk's going to be more about inspiring people, I hope. Because that's what I love to do whenever there's any sort of speaking thing, is just to get people to stop and think about themselves a little bit and think about whether there's another way of doing things before it's too late. Because you don't want to be in a retirement home full of regret. But really, that's what the TED Talk's going to be about, is that it is possible. Yes, it might be scary. Yes, you might not know where to start. But if you've a destination in mind, if you've got a goal in mind, it might be that you need some help. It might be that, you know, one day you have no idea, and then the next day things are clearer, and the day after becomes a bit difficult again. But it's part of that process, I think, of being a human being and actually embracing and taking responsibility for your own life.
Yeah.
Dealing with situations and circumstances around you, but still actually waking up in a morning energized, perhaps feeling daunted, perhaps feeling scared, but actually energized through all of those emotions, that this is yours. Like nobody else can have.
Yeah.
You are like 1 in 4 billion, or whatever the stats are, that you can actually take this and do something with it if you choose to. So
and it can really help your mindset, can't it? Because when you got a focus like that you actually love, whether it be property, marketing, or whatever, you know, niche you're in, you know, the shit that hits you in life, and it does, everyone, and we've all got sad situations, whether it hits directly or indirectly with family members and the tentacles of pain, you know, that when you got a focus and a love of some sort, it really does help you keep on the straight and narrow. I mean, if I didn't focus on writing a little bit, like I said, throughout the years, eventually I had a book, I'm not a writer, I wouldn't have had that, but that was giving me some focus. The same with property investing, the same with marketing. I actually am a bit geeky with tools and stuff like that. I love that side of things, and I enjoy it. But if I didn't have that, I'd actually be quite depressed, for being honest with you.
I think that, and that's the important thing, and it's, as I say, it's knowing yourself. There was a woman that I used to work with. She was very high up the corporate ladder when I was doing all the big, heavy-duty international digital strategy stuff, which was great, but burnt me out because it was corporate stuff and it just didn't suit my personality. She took the redundancy, and she literally went from like high-powered, six-figured, you know, top Jaguar driving London type. She almost retired herself early and started again, and she started making cakes because as a little girl, it's something that she used to do with the grandma, and she absolutely loved it. And she kind of just tapped out the whole corporate thing and went, what is it that I really love? Oh my God, it comes back to my childhood, and it was this thing. And she spent like 6 months just making an absolute, I mean, literally an absolute mess of it, but also, you know, trying to build a business out and all the rest. But now she has learned to lean into her existing network. She gets kind of corporate or very high-end luxury type clients that want to pay a small fortune for these beautiful cakes that she's learned to make, and she is the happiest she's ever been. She's probably never going to make as much as she used to.
Yeah, it's not about money, is it? I mean, this is
no, it's about her quality of life, and her family life is different now, and you know, they live in a smaller house and they've got, you know, it's much more frugal, but she's just happy, and that's what it comes down to.
Absolutely. I mean, we both know the cost of, you know, doing marketing. It's very expensive. I mean, we talk about cost of services, but when you're paying out these tools, it's like, you know, you get they're about £1,000 a month in theory, you know, you get all the bits that you need just for you to run. And people don't realize the cost of actually being a marketer in that side of things. You know, with the different, you know, where you've got ClickFunnels, whether you've got Infusionsoft, whether you've got, you know, your Kajabi or Webinar Jam, whatever the tools are. You know, people do not realize the cost of these things. And there are other tools out there that I use as well that are really, you know, competitive and so on. But the point is, you know, they cost, and that cost has to be paid for. It's a business cost. And sometimes people don't fully appreciate that, because you're on a laptop, because you're a person and you've got, you know, a virtual team and so on. They don't really fully appreciate you, and you know, like they would if you had a bricks and mortar building.
Yeah.
With chairs full of clients and physical equipment, but the costs are still there, aren't they? It's really important for us actually to educate people that side of things, and to actually let them know that if they are going to take a leap, there is a cost to take a leap. Because I've seen a lot of people that join, whether it be ClickFunnels forums or whatever forums, and they really are like deers in headlights, literally. They're startled, they're quite shocked by what all this is, and then they get trapped in their own funnel, really. And it's good to be in a funnel of some sort, because it gives you progression, it gives you ways to grow, mentorship, all that kind of thing. But there comes a point, I think a lot of us get at, where you just, all right, I'm going to step off this and I'm going to start creating. And I think the sad fact is that a lot of people aren't creating as much as they'd like. You know, in these systems.
Sorry, one second.
Yeah, you go for it. You go for it.
The dog's just heard the door.
Mine's downstairs, being nice and quiet at the moment. I've been quite lucky, actually.
She normally is, but she's, yeah, as a little puppy, she's got a thing about the postman. At the minute, it's a love-hate thing, but yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's really important to keep people grounded as well. Obviously, we'd want it like in a day to be successful, but people starting off in an agency or marketing or even their business from scratch, they've got to be really realistic.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't be afraid to tap into people like us or other people for advice. I mean, I know you're very supportive, and I help people a lot. Obviously, we've got constraints on time as well, but we do give a lot. And I think there are people that do give a lot, and they don't necessarily just charge, you know. There's a certain time where you have to sort of like cap it, you know, because time is money, unfortunately. But there is a lot of avenues out there where you can get a lot of free content, a lot of free information, a lot of free, updates, what's going on around the world and in the niches that they're in. And they can start this stuff on a relatively lower budget, but they need to appreciate it does cost. It really does cost. Unfortunately, some people are pushing it as though it doesn't, you know, and that's not helping a lot of people, including themselves. So what would you say for, like, if someone was starting out and they said, right, okay, I've got an idea. Okay, I've got a business. I want to start off right now from scratch. What would be your best bit of advice to them to just the beginning?
Right at the beginning.
Right at the beginning.
Right at the beginning. I've just run, quite interestingly, I've run a 5-day funnel challenge through my Facebook group.
Okay.
Because that's what I do. I do funnels and strategy. But it was interesting looking at, and I knew it would happen, looking at what was coming back as comments.
Right.
I think if you're starting off a business, the 2 things that I would definitely do, aside from all your administration and scaling and all that stuff, is work out who you're doing it for. Like, I don't mean you as a person and you for your family. I mean, who's your audience? Who's your market? Be really, really clear on who you want to do this stuff for. And then once you've done that, work out what it is about your product or service that actually solves a problem that market has. Without those 2 things, if you don't know who your buyer is, you don't know what your product is, everything that you do, all the messages that you send out, the branding that you'll do, your entire marketing machine will probably fail because you're trying to sell somebody something where they don't need it or they don't understand what it's for. So without those 2 things, you're highly likely to fail.
Totally agree. Absolutely spot on. And I think if people do focus on that, truly focus, but not just like on a top level, briefly looking at it, really truly hack it down, like you said, really pinpoint. Then they've got a winning formula. I mean, there are people that have got massive successful funnels, and to explain to some of the audience that don't know what funnels are, websites that direct people through a funnel, a process to a conversion, i.e. a payment. So where there's been people that have been massively successful could be something really as remote as ex-army survival in the world, basically in the real world, like, as in, like, that could be a funnel for that, or it could be, you're a nail technician. There's literally really specific, but a specific type of nail technician. I haven't got a clue. But I'm giving examples. A lot of these ones are really successful for people that really grab a very small niche that there is a big bubble in the world as a whole for that small niche.
Yeah, there is, and I think that's one of the problems that startup businesses or business owners that probably are running a little bit scared. And I've just come out of some consulting that I'm doing with an international, like a major brand, and we've been redefining the audience, redefining the market, because they were doing what a lot of little startup businesses were doing as well. So it's not like just a startup business.
Yeah.
I see it in very heavily established industry.
Yeah, same.
They were going after anybody with a pulse. And it's like, how do you market your product to anybody in the world? If we can narrow it down to 5,000 people where we know exactly what they're interested in, how they think, what they desire, what they want, what they need. If you can actually get that mapped and get that baselined, then everything that you're saying is directly to that person's desire or want.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It's like they're talking to their best friend.
Yeah.
And that's how your marketing should be. If you're doing anything broader than that, if you're doing scattergun, then you should expect to pay a lot of money but not necessarily get great results.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of people that do scattergun have to rely on solo ads and things like that. And a lot of solo ads aren't really, they're not really great, a lot of solo ads. So people tend to, just like you say, try and grab as many sort of interactions, engagements as possible.
Yeah.
But it's not really converting, and that costs money, whether it be the advertisement, your time, or whether you're paying specifically for certain sort of adverts and so on. And unfortunately, actually, if people just really focus on what they're about, who they can serve, then actually they could save money and make more money, ironically, by just doing that. But there is a big fear. I've been through it myself. I'm sure you have as well, Rob. There's a big fear when you're starting out. It's like, but especially marketing. Marketing's really hard because we are everything. I mean, marketing is an umbrella term, and it really is. It really is a big term. But there's lots of companies that don't need to spread out so wide. But marketing, even in marketing, you've got to niche it down somewhat. But it's a big umbrella term.
Well, that was my biggest mistake, I think, this past 3 years is not niching down. Even though mentors and programs that I pay for were saying niche down, I'm like, 1 minute I'm doing dental campaigns for private dentists that are trying to sell Invisalign products to market. The next minute I'm working with property companies that are doing high-end villa rentals over in Thailand and stuff like that. The next minute I'm doing something for an e-commerce company, and I had to step back and go, what kind of people do I really like working with? Like, what kind of industry are they in? Okay, they're in this industry. Right, okay, well, within that industry, actually, there's 25 subsets. Which one of those? And I just kept narrowing down and down and down and down to get to a point where it's like, my ideal client has these kind of behaviors, has this kind of business, has this kind of budget, needs these kind of results. They're the kind of people that ideally I want to work with. Yes, I may deviate. I may choose to go and work with a different sort of
yeah, and you shouldn't pigeonhole yourself, but it's really important to focus on.
Well, the reason being is you get seen as the go-to guy. You get seen as the agency that specializes in that stuff, and you start getting renowned for that. You start getting referrals for that sort of stuff. Imagine if you run, let's say you're a cake maker.
Yeah.
You only make cakes for prestigious events like, major celebrities' birthdays or local government events or something like that. The difference between you and someone that makes cupcakes for kids' parties is about positioning. You're both effectively using the same ingredients and doing roughly the same thing. And I'm not kind of saying that a cupcake is the same as $10,000 cake. Yeah. But the point being, effectively, you're using the same raw ingredients, but different market, different price point, and all the rest. You would not necessarily think that, the woman that's doing the incredibly expensive cakes would even bother doing the cupcakes. So you wouldn't approach her and ask her that question. Exactly. It just saves everybody wasting time and allows each, particular subset of that niche to actually just concentrate on its core market, which means that it's probably going to sell more quickly, and it's not going to spend as much in wasted advertising.
And that niche for real high-end corporate, or whether it could make a cake for the Queen, for instance, or whatever, unfortunately, it costs more because the effort you got to put in, the extra advertisements for whatever you do with it, the extra care, you might buy more high-quality ingredients, whatever it may be, for whatever you're using on food. It does incur a high cost anyway, although it might seem similar, because the person doing it, if they're passionate like us, then you want to put the more effort into it. And I mean, like you, I was everywhere. Like I said, I did a print company before, and since I went into property, I realized to just focus it on marketing with property pretty much, and I don't even advertise myself out there now. I just don't do sponsors ads. I don't do nothing. I just get people contacting me, and it's just so natural that I don't even bother promoting myself out there for it. But that doesn't mean I doesn't do things, because I can do membership sites for people. So if they've got a product or service, I can help them create things online to sell. But it doesn't mean I don't do other things. And the point is, it's so imperative to really focus on a specific area. Have you ever thought about doing? You probably have, because you come from the music background. It's quite interesting, actually, because 3 people I've interviewed recently come from a bit of a background of music, it's quite interesting. How I always find that the creatives, the creative background, they tend to go into. A lot of them have gone into the digital fields. Like, we're talking 80s, 90s. A lot of the creatives that were back there, music mainly, actually, there's been TV creatives as well. They've all gone into the digital field and do something completely different. It could be producing, movie producers, could be, websites and, sort of like funnels, whatever. But they've all gone into that field. It's quite interesting because I think there is a simile in the way you create music and the way you plan it out and the journey of it. And this might sound a bit alien to some people, unless you know a bit of music, but I think there's a simile there with the process of marketing and the digital sort of platforms that you can get into, and how you put these things together and how it all comes out as a nice tune at the end, or a nice product.
Yeah, it's completely true. I think for anybody anybody that works in the creative space probably uses technology.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's old school 1/4-inch tapes that I used to use way back when for recording. So, you know, the big reel-to-reel machine.
Yeah.
And then we stepped through various technologies like Pro Tools and ADAT recorders. And then eventually it came onto laptops. And then, you know, studios are born out of that.
Yeah.
If you're an artist, chances are you're using technology, you know, even pure art. I think all of us, as like a massive community, effectively, we're doing two things. We're blending creativity and technology together.
Yeah.
For me, the only difference, leaving a lot of the print-based brand stuff behind, although I still do that for very high-end clients, not the print stuff, but the brand and brand strategy, is the beauty with digital is you can do stuff quickly, test it quickly, and you've got data at your fingertips. Like, I used to work in a video production studio where we used to do videos for TV advertising all over the world. Well, great. We used to do like radio jingles and stuff. So there were multiple studios, massive green studio where we used to record products and all sorts of stuff. I used to love it because there's creativity, there's storyboards, there's art directors, there's all the gear, there's editing it down, there's post-production, distribution, marketing and all the rest. But the thing that used to really, really pee me off is you couldn't get the metrics. Like, you put a TV ad out for a major company, what's the view rate? What's the response rate? Well, no idea. With the print stuff, it takes us 3 months to take stuff to print. It's going to take us another week to actually do the fulfillment and distribution. What's the response rate on the ads that are in there? Well, no idea. We don't really know. Like with the digital stuff,
you can track it.
Yeah, you put something out there, you can tell within hours whether this thing's working or not. If you're patient enough to leave it a little while to settle, you can see whether it's a winner or a killer.
Yeah.
And that, for me, was one of the fundamental reasons of bringing creativity and technology together, but settling on digital, because it's like it's the perfect playground for actually creating campaigns and doing marketing. But there's tangible things, there's things that actually leave clues as to whether something's successful or not.
Totally agree. But there's been a massive titanic change recently in digital, and it's happened in a couple of areas. And we've got GDPR, number one. You've got the whole situation with Facebook, and there's a lot of challenges on a lot of these big platforms, I call them, whether it be Google, Amazon, Facebook. At the moment, there seems to be, it's probably wrong to say this, but it's almost like it's almost like professional mafia, and there's an element of government trying to take control, and there's good reasons why they can, but there's certain businesses that they're trying to control, and basically tax. It's another way to tax people and so on, and it's right. It's right that they're going down that road, but I think they're underestimating the damage that can do with the progression of how things are moving in the West, and our competition in a market which is so competitive with other countries around the world. And I think what they're doing, where one rule suits us and another suits another. Perfect example is GDPR in America compared to where we are in the UK.
Yeah.
It makes it very, very difficult, for Americans and the British, to be marketing openly and covering all the compliance and so on. Doing it the traditional way. Now, obviously, there's lots of GDPR things you can put in place, and we've got them all in place, and you've got to accept cookies. But what I found is most people, and you probably found the same thing, is most people just accept anyway. It's just like, it's just become a pop-up bum, pop-up bum. It's just another pain for people, and it's what there is talk of is like this was really built up, not just for security, but also to make a bit of money off people, so to find, I don't know, I haven't really got a good judgment on that, but I do feel certain areas, I do feel that there's pressure on the digital industry as a whole. It is coming in on it, and maybe they've had full free reign for too long, maybe they've had it, quite easy for too long, and it's not been regulated enough, and it's only fair because you've got your bricks and mortar shops, for instance, being attacked by the Amazon businesses, and they've got council bills and all the costs that they've got to incur. and like these Amazon businesses haven't, for instance, you know. But there's a balance in that because the world's changing. And
yeah, I think with that, you know, when you talk about speed to market with digital, I think there's an interesting paradox with a lot of the digital marketing community, and that is their lack of ability or speed to respond to things that are outside their control. You're always going to get something that disrupts your industry.
yeah,
Whether that's GDPR or something else. I mean, way back when the big disruptor, the big shift was going from modems to ISDN broadband.
Yeah.
And then again, like Flash falling off the face of the earth. You know,
I know. Apple pretty much.
so many things happened. You know, a lot.
I learned Flash. I knew how to do animations in it and interactive.
Yeah, but you know, agencies have built themselves on Google, and then 2012, 2013, the algorithm changed, and agencies literally collapsed overnight because they were building their empires effectively on a technology, either aware or ignorant or completely unaware that something was going on. It's been the same with GDPR. You know, there's always going to be something in your industry that's going to change, and it's really down to your capability to adapt to that change or ignore that change, you know, depending on whether it's a legal requirement or whether it's just a warning. It's always going to happen. And I think nothing's really changed for hundreds of years around print technology and regional advertising or government jurisdiction or cross-territory, you know, cross-country laws and changes, and the fact that one country needs to adhere to another's and all that stuff. Nothing's really changed. I think what's changed is it's more visible now because more people are talking about it on social media.
True.
Actually, you just got to get your head down and deal with it. If you want to ignore that particular legislation, fine, know the consequences. If you need to do something about it, maybe you need to close shop for a few weeks and work it out. But I think it's always going to be like this because social media's got itself a bad rap, and there's all this stuff about freedom of speech, but at the same time, governments want to control certain stuff, and there's quality criteria coming in. It's like, just watch this space because it's always going to be like this now.
I mean, people think GDPR, well, that was just it, but there's actually other elements coming in place. I think there's one in the early part of 2019. There's another element that comes in to the GDPR, and this thing will constantly adapt and grow and constantly change. And like you say, like in any historical, you know, realization of any business, they've gone through the same sort of process. And I think what has really hit me, I think there's been a lot though in this recent year, I'd say, that's come at once, if I'm being honest. Normally I've seen things happen and it's come and it's, you know, there's talk of it being sorted and so on, like Flash, for instance. Okay, Apple stopped supporting Flash. Okay, no one thought they would die because of it. In fact, Adobe got really, you know, got their backs up more, started promoting themselves more with other platforms and other businesses like IBM and so on. And in the end, they did die pretty much it's still going. Flash is still going, but it's not really, you know, it's not really Flash anymore, if that makes sense. It's another product. It's another thing. And HTML5, which is why Apple dropped it, they saw more promise in that. And and other systems coming out that would be better than Flash. And to be fair, they've been proven right, I guess. Flash is another program within itself. And I think these open source programs are really great to a certain degree, but a bit like WordPress, it's an open source platform where people can build websites pretty quickly with their own templates. They are immensely prone to hacks. And the amount of people I've had to create websites for that have been hacked on WordPress is why I don't use, you know, WordPress. I mean, I can use it. People want one. If they've got WordPress, I'll use it. I do. But I choose not to use that. I choose a really protected server system at the minute. But it just goes to show we're not totally secure. We've got to not be reliant on a certain platform, but also be true to our core. And we are, in a theory, consultants more than anything. We might have the tools and the knowledge and and all the other bits that help put these things together and learn the actual, you know, whether it be ClickFunnels, whatever, but they might not be here forever. I think it's really important for people to understand that. But we can still help businesses with our knowledge. And once you've learned one platform, you can pretty much pick up another one, as far as I'm concerned. That's what I've done in my life. Pick up a lot of them quite quickly, and I'm sure you can as well.
Yeah.
And I just think it's really important to realise that. But I really have felt a massive increase lately, and if you ever watched the videos, the actual on YouTube when they're grilling Mark Zuckerberg, and you've got these people that are at a certain age in their life, and they don't know what Facebook is about really, and they're asking these questions that just don't make sense. They think he's got so much power, he's like a god, and they're grilling him, and he's like, well, you know, they have the option, and this and this and that, and he's explaining. And that's the problem, is when you bring these two different forces and these different worlds as such, and they might be generational worlds, there's going to be a clash. There's going to be a clash, and whether we like it or not, you know, if they say go, you know, this goes this way, we might have to follow, whether it works or not, and whether they're right or wrong, might have to follow. So I think it's really important to be, number one, have integrity. So whatever you're doing, whatever platform you're using, you've got to have a lot of integrity. But number two, be very honest with your customer, which is integrity really, about the platform that you're using is just a tool, you know, and that things can change without doubt. But yeah, that's what I would say. But I just want to say, I know we've been going for quite a while, I know you've probably got other stuff going on, but I just want to say it's been really great having you on here, Rob.
No, it's been cool. It will be good to do a follow-up at some point.
Yeah, no, definitely, absolutely. I'd love to do that. And you know, I mean, I normally end with is like, you know, if there's anyone you'd think would be ideal for the Mic Drops Up Close show, drop me a line or mention it now if you want to. If there's someone you think would be ideal within your network, I'll always like to put it out to my guests, because it's always nice to see. Because what I find is people that I connect with, they will connect with other people, and so we'll be connecting on a similar level.
Yeah.
Nice to just have that role. So if there is, just drop them a line and we'll connect and have them on. Yeah, it's been great having you here. But thank you ever so much, Rob. It's really been a pleasure, mate.
No, cheers. I really appreciate that. I'll catch you again soon.
Yeah, you take care, buddy. Thanks again, mate. Thanks again.
Cheers. See ya.
Bye-bye. Brilliant. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, no problem. I'm going to jump.
I'm going to wrap it up because it's been quite a while.
No, that's all right. I'll need to jump onto 11:30 in a sec. But what I'll do is I'll dump this Zoom down. I'll top and tail it if you want, and then put it over on Dropbox.
Okay, cool. Yeah, brilliant. And then I'll just put mic drop intro and that, and then I'll put it on YouTube, and I'll give you the link and everything. Okay, mate. Brilliant.
Nice. Good to speak to you. Take care.
You too, mate. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.